What's up, guys? Firstly, let me go ahead and say this. I don't normally ever make these kind of videos. Uh, However, I also don't really post too much on this channel, but I need to. This is something I probably shouldn't put on my main channel, and therefore I'm doing it on this one. But I honestly, I'm very upset right now. As a Carolina Panthers fan, as you guys can see, I'm decked out right now. I'm upset at what's happening. And I don't normally do sports talk, so bear with me. But I'm very invested in this team. I'm very invested in the Carolina Panthers. They're my team. I love them. However, I'm very angry because, as some of you may or may not know, Cam Newton has been given permission to seek a trade. Now, on his Twitter, on his Instagram, excuse me, he said that he was forced into this. But following up a comment with that was Greg Olson, who said, "Sounds familiar." Now, so far, and what's been this free agency and this whole ordeal with, who's going to stay, who's going to go, we've had a lot of faces leave. We've had James Bradbury go to New York on a very lucrative deal. Mario Addison has gone to the Buffalo Bills. We've had uh, a few others wanting to go to other teams. Like, I don't think we're going to re-sign Gerald McCoy. I think he's going to probably go back to the Bucks. And Bruce Irvin wants to go back to the West. Haven't heard anything about that. Colin Jones actually wanted to be released and maybe test out the market. We've had uh, many people retiring. We've had Luke Kuechly, which has been a big like hit to the chest for me when it comes to him. But I feel like there's more to all of this. Like with the Carolina Panthers, I know that there's a new head coach. He's gotten this huge contract. He's gotten this, you know, all this time too, 7 years I believe it is, to do what he wants to do. And in releasing or letting Cam seek a trade, we're bringing in Teddy Bridgewater. Now, I'm not going to disrespect Teddy Bridgewater because I saw games with him with the Saints. He did a phenomenal job stepping in and being a great quarterback for the Saints. I remember his time, excuse my dog's barking, but like I remember the time he was in Minnesota and how good he was doing things. He was a starter, he got hurt, and I remember him being put back in the game after his injury. He's been very different since then, you know, but I'm just not too sure that a quarterback like Teddy Bridgewater can be the face of a franchise such as Carolina. My problem is, and why I'm angry about all of this, is because the treatment that is being given. And now I understand some of you may or may not see it the same way as I do, and I understand that. And I hope we can all be, respectful about it. But I know there's a business aspect of things, And I just watched Steve Smith talk about it, and I think about Steve Smith, and I'm like, you were one of the ones that was done dirty when we had Jerry Richardson in that ownership. Dave Gettleman. I knew that a lot of people did not like Dave Gettleman, and understandably so, because I look at the stuff that he's done in New York. He's he's brought in some former Panthers, but they let go of Odell Beckham Jr., which is kind of like that's your best player. You know, Uh, I don't understand Dave Gettleman's mentality. I really don't. But I don't necessarily want to talk about him when it comes to what the present is in Carolina. It's sad because for me, watching players like Cam leave just reminds me of others that have walked out without wanting to. Uh, Cam's one of them. He says he loves the Panthers. He will always love the Panthers. He has roots here. He has done so much for this community, as well as Ron Rivera. Ron, even though he's not a player, he has been someone that has been super influential in this community. And for me, being a Latino, you know, I started liking football more not just football, soccer, but like football, like American football, because of them. Like watching someone that is like not necessarily a player, but someone that I can relate to, someone that has the same kind of background as me, became something that I could relate to, and therefore I became a fan of Ron, and I became a fan of the Panthers, and I live in this state, so I understand. Like it became an understandable thing for me to for all those things to kind of coincide, and like it made sense. And so Ron is gone. He left 4 games before the end of the season. He is now with the Redskins, who I just can't. Josh Norman, I thought he would stay on the team, being someone that he knew, but he's gone to the Buffalo Bills. So I'm looking at these other teams like the the Bills and the Giants just booming with former players from the Panthers, and it's just kind of crazy how that's working out. And I just hate like for big people like big name people such as like Cam leaving. I hate that. This the way that they get treated. We have him, and we have Greg Olson, someone who has been a cornerstone or someone that's been just there. He has done a lot inside and out of the field, and it has been. I have been very much impressed with what he's been able to accomplish, and I hate that. He's already signed with the Seahawks. I hope for you know, like I don't care that I'm rooting against my team here, but I hope that the Seahawks could win the next Super Bowl so that Greg can retire with a ring and come back to Charlotte because he's mentioned that before. Charlotte is home. You don't get players like that very often in this state. I mean, there's people that love this place, but they move on and so on. But I feel like because Greg has been here so long and his kids have been growing up here, and what he's done for the Levine's Hospital in Charlotte, like that's something that you can't do many places. And so, I respect that. I respect the heck out of Greg Olson, and hats off to him. I wish he had retired, but he still wanted to play, so I respect that. I can totally understand someone who doesn't feel like it's over for them. And those words sound familiar to another player, Thomas Davis. This man, along with Luke, both of them were just they were the best combo when it came to the linebacker position. I know Shaq, it was the third kind of like wheeler there, and he stepped up a lot in this season because of Thomas leaving, but Thomas never wanted to leave the Panthers, and I hate that. Like this treatment, he wanted to stay. He wanted to be like, I wanted to keep playing. And, if you got the strength and you're mentally capable of doing it, then do so. And then let's go back a little further. Now, I understand. I'll make a mention of Luke real quick. I don't think that Luke retired just out of, hurting himself. I also think that he may have been possibly cut. Now, this is just my theory. No one has outsaid this that I know of, but I think that maybe Luke could have been used as a bargaining chip at some point for the new ownership here, like David Tepper and Matt Rule. They could have used him to kind of maybe get another round pick or something. Because if Luke was still on here, they could have possibly tried to trade him out. Because now I've heard talks about McCaffrey, and I'm like, if we get rid of McCaffrey, we literally have nothing right now. And I know McCaffrey's been doing so much, and I'm not a big fan of him trying to always do everything. But I understand wanting to do everything if you're able to. And so I'm frustrated with that. That's my theory. I don't know if any of you agree with that. If you guys also think maybe there was a possibility, maybe they could have used Luke, but he retired just to keep his like body as intact as he could, because he did go through a lot of injuries and going through a lot of recovery time. So that could be a possibility. And so I'm not sure. Now, we get Steve Smith, and I also want to put in D'Angelo Williams. These two guys were, for many years, the top weapons that we had. And we had Jonathan Stewart in there, but Jonathan, I think, knew his time was up. So I don't necessarily want to say he was kind of like go the wrong way. I think that was something that was, you saw coming. But Steve didn't want to leave. He did not want to leave the Panthers. He had done a whole career, and I'm glad that that game when he was against the Ravens against us, and he scored 2 touchdowns, he was every bit allowed to talk that smack, and he even said that, take care of my lawn back in Charlotte. This man still lives in Charlotte. That's how much he loves this place. That's crazy, you know? Like, people that after being let go of this team still have a love for the city, for the team, for the fan base. They have this. And so D'Angelo was the same way, he was given the short end of the stick. And, they gave Jonathan all the responsibility after he left. Jonathan performed very well, I think, under the circumstances that he was under. And then McCaffrey came into the picture. And then it was just kind of like a cycle. And I do understand that, these things kind of naturally happen. But sometimes in this case, I feel like for the duration of these last couple of years, I felt like change has been forced in Carolina. And I hate that. I hate that there are players that are being let go because they still have it in them. I think they should retire if they want to continue to be on that team, retire with that team instead of having to be like, that kind of situation. So, especially with social media, you know, I don't know if D'Angelo and Steve would have reacted the same way that maybe Greg and Cam have. It's a way of, feeling frustrated and letting it go and just kind of being honest. And so it's just been, for me, very difficult. I don't know the direction of my team. I feel like no one's really talking about that. Like, Carolina is a mess right now, in my opinion. I think that there's a lot there's more questions than there are answers. And letting go of certain people right now aren't filling in those questions. You know, you're having to look at the free agency market, and then you got to look at some draft picks. And I'm like, maybe then you'll be able to make something. But as of right now, you don't have much of anything. You bring in Teddy Bridgewater, excuse me, and I think easily he's a great quarterback. But I don't think he's a starting quarterback. Now, he might go in and just this whole year just completely blow it out, and that would be, freaking fantastic. But I don't know. It's mostly having to wait and see. But I'm just very frustrated right now with my organization, with my team right now. I hope that in the foreseeable future, after this whole mess with the COVID-19 and whatnot, that we get to see how it all plays out. And I'm hoping that it's a major improvement from what we saw last season. I mean, the last 2 seasons have been terrible when it comes to these things. I've seen how, they're like on a good run, and then all of a sudden they're butt cheeks. Like I just don't like that, and so I'm frustrated about it. But at the same time, I understand. So for players like, or former players as well, like Steve, D'Angelo, Greg, Thomas, Luke, Cam, I have nothing but thanks to give to every one of you guys for all of the beautiful moments that you have given us fans throughout the years. You guys have been, and I hope maybe someday you watch this. I doubt that any of you would, but I honestly hope that, you still have for those that maybe don't, like, I hope that you guys could, still love this place like we love you. I mean, it's just, I hope that for players that are active right now, I hope, like Greg, I wish you the best of luck in Seattle. Cam, wherever you go, I'm still a fan of you, man. What you do for Thanksgiving is incredible. And I love that you do what you do. I love your personality. You're a hell of an athlete. You're a great quarterback. You're a leader. And wherever you go, I hope that your troops follow you as they did here. And I hope you get the full support that you definitely deserve. Thomas, I hope that you could retire a Panther. I hope you come back if permitted. It would be phenomenal for you to come back and help now that we only have Shaq. If you still plan on playing, that is, of course. If not, then, sign that 1 day contract and retire a Panther. That would be fantastic. Um, and so, like, for any others that have left, because whether they wanted to or not, you know, I give you guys, the best of luck. I wish you the best and hope that this all works out for y'all. But as a fan of this team, I hope that we honestly, truly get better with all of the changes that are coming. So that's it for me, guys. I don't want to ramble. Again, this has been a very different kind of video that I'm doing on this channel right now, and I'm just I'm an angry Carolina fan right now, and I hope that others can also relate to that. But for those that can, let me know in the comments. For those that see it differently, I really, honest to goodness, would love to know your opinion. Let's get a conversation going down there. I would love to know your thoughts. But as always, though, guys, and I always say for those that are new, take care of yourselves, especially in this time. It's very important that you guys take care of yourselves. Hygiene is important. Taking care of yourself as best as you can, and also take care of others. That's important as well. You can't just look out for yourself. You gotta look out for others. And so, take care, and I will catch you later.